because that's where the big exits are. That's where the big value is. That's where, the guarantee is if we don't have recurring revenue business, if we don't have recurring revenue model in our business, as soon as you turn the lever off, you die, right? It's done. If you're not hustling for the next sale, then you're done. Where if you do have it, you can take a breather, or you can compound your interest, or you can compound your equity, right? Because it's constantly revolving.
Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure Ecomm business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Matt Clark from ASM, and Michael E. Gerber, author of The E-Myth. Today, I'm speaking with Sean Travis, and we are going to be talking about how to play the game of e-commerce at a much higher level through private equity and partnerships and even investments. This episode is brought to you by Ecomm Breakthrough, where I specialize in investing in and scaling 7-figure e-commerce brands to 8 figures and beyond. If you're an ambitious e-commerce entrepreneur looking for a coach or consultant to help grow your brand, I bring the hands-on experience, strategic insights, and the resources needed to fuel your growth. So if you or someone you know is ready to scale, reach out to me directly at josh@ecommbreakthrough.com. That's Ecomm with 2 M's, and let's turn your dreams into reality. But today I am super excited to introduce you all to Sean Travis. Sean is a former LA firefighter. He worked there for 14 years, and he built and scaled multiple e-commerce brands, allowing him to retire and pursue e-commerce full-time. He's now operating these brands, coaching other first responders how to build the same e-commerce brands, and then he's working with a PE fund to do roll-ups with recurring revenue e-commerce brands. He's got his work cut out for him. He's got a full plate. With that introduction, welcome to the show, Sean.
Right on. Thank you, Josh.
Sean, super excited to have you on the show. You and I met at AMZ Innovate. You talked about all the cool stuff you're doing in the private equity world and rolling things up, and you were blowing my mind with just a very simple side conversation. I was like, hold on, I've got to bring you onto the show because I want to dive deeper here. That's always, but by the way, it's always the secret behind my podcast is if I were to sit here and grill you, at AMZ Innovate, I was like, hey, I've got 101 questions for you. Let's go. You'd be like, dude, you're weird. Like, why are you sitting here grilling me? If we jump on a podcast and I hit the record button, you're like, whatever you want, man, ask away. So anyways.
Yeah. Right on, man.
Sean, excited to have you on the show. Why don't you give everybody a quick background on yourself, right? You definitely come from a non-traditional background in the e-commerce space. So why don't you give everybody a quick update? How did you get to where you're at today?
Yeah, absolutely. The old saying, a million ways to skin a cat, but started in the fire service. Never saw myself actually going tech world or e-commerce or online at all, right? On the line. But yeah, it was just with LA Fire for, quite some time. And wife and I started really figuring out DIY version of, how to build out on Amazon, the old classic, get a course and how do we get that side income going? And glad we did. Man, it has been a journey. But started building out, the e-commerce brand, the e-commerce world, and just learning. And then at the time, there were some pain points with the fire service too. I'd lost a few buddies in line of duty, kind of in the same year. Was dealing with some injuries. We were overworked. It was right, just all the perfect storm. And then at the same time, was able to build the e-commerce brands big enough where it surpassed that income. It was like, holy cow! Actually, the world of options, the world of freedom, it does exist. And I mean, I would be hard pressed if there's another time in human history where it's easier to succeed, especially when we have all this stuff at our fingertips. It's just keep going, right? The only way you fail is if you quit. So just keep going, and then eventually it'll kick. And that's what we did, right? We just kept pushing. Took us about a year and a half, maybe a little longer, to get to selling. And then it started a little bit more. Then it obviously took off. And then, a few years in, decided to go on a leave of absence from the fire service. And then that turned into retirement. And that doesn't really happen. I know very few, I think maybe 2 out of thousands of other guys, especially in Southern California, who have left the fire service for really anything else. And the other 2, one of them married really, really rich, and the other one absorbed the business from, an old buddy. So it was kind of like, it is rare, my point being, right, to build your own avenue. So to set that container, when I did leave, guys started calling and obviously asking, what just happened? Are you okay? That classic thing. No one would leave this job. And then, oh my God, how'd you get out? As if it's, Shawshank. And then, can you teach me? And that's where it started. Then not only are we operating our own brands, but I was like, absolutely, right? I would love to work with, old buddies of mine who already have in their core the sense of honor, integrity, grit, work ethic that it really takes to succeed with, a substantial business, right? Our business will always be the effect of our personal character, whether or not we like it. So if we are sloppy, so will our business. If we are, trying to cut corners, so will our business, et cetera. So if we have someone who's going to be upstanding, do the work and do it right, that is a formula enough for success for me. So I absolutely hopped on board with, teaching. And I mean, it also comes from the avenue of what we learn in the military and fire service is everything you learn and earn, you pay it forward, right? It's the guy that mentored me, he never asked for anything in return, literally. And it always happens, right? Oh my God, you helped me so much. How can I repay you? And he goes, you don't, you just pay it forward. So the next time someone needs or asks or is willing, that's how you do it. You go coach them full on. And so obviously it's ingrained in us to be like, hey, absolutely, I will train the person behind me to absolutely, hop on this road. So that being said, it obviously, falls in line with, the cut of the cloth, and that started growing. So, have a really good community there. And in that mix, the natural progression, I think, of growing businesses is you grow your own, and then you realize you can grow a few, and then you can grow other people's. And then they're like, hey, what if we went out and started buying businesses, right? That's the natural progression. And what if we started raising funds to buy businesses? And then wife and I got into a fund manager space where we started learning how to build out an investment fund, what's required, et cetera, et cetera. And then, all the team members, what a GP is, what an LP is, what do you even file the business under? Is an LLC? Is an LP? I don't know. What's the difference? All that good stuff. And believe me, do not go to a law firm and ask them. They will sit there and glitter in, excitement. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to charge this guy my hourly just to tell him the basics. There are other resources where you don't have to charge a lawyer and then watch them screw it up, because that is actually what I did the first round. They drew up a bunch of documents which were incorrect. I had to get them done. Then I went the real route. Highly recommend, not to be a plug, but fundlaunch.com is a great resource for learning how to build out your investment fund. But that being said, I created a thesis and was about to go to capital raising. And the thesis was around, and what we've seen in the space, doesn't matter really what category you're in, pretty consistently, we've seen, do you have a recurring revenue model attached to your hero product? If you don't, that should be your primary focus. Whatever it is, whatever business you're doing right now, figure that out. That should be number one. If you have the end goal in mind of either making a ton of money or selling for a ton of money, that's what they're looking for. That's what we're looking for. There is nothing recurring. There is no guarantee on the business. So that being said, went in, wrote my thesis, presented it at a fund manager conference workshop in front of a bunch of, who's who's, and, watched half their eyes glaze over because they're all real estate, crypto, finance is pretty much every PE fund under the sun, and then a handful of e-commerce, right? And we've heard about the aggregators like Thrasio, Perch, and there's a few others that have kind of stepped on their own, mistakes there. But there are successful ways to do it. And the ways we're doing that is with recurring revenue. So I presented my thesis, and they all love the numbers, right? The numbers make sense. The numbers are phenomenal, especially when you do 5, 8, 10, 12-year projections. It's nothing quite grows that fast as business optimization. It is really, really rare, especially if you can do a low overhead business like you can with Ecomm. So gave my thesis, and was about to hit the ground running and raise capital. And full disclosure, right? I'd never managed a fund. I'm, college educated, but not in finance. This is new ground for me. So if I'm going to be a fiduciary responsibility to LPs or investors, I better know what I'm doing. So that's why I had this community fund launch with me. And I had a group of guys kind of come over to me. Then, buddy Mike, good friend now, but he walks over, he's, sipping a Celsius, and he's like all amped up. He's like, man, I'm mid 75 hard right now, and I'm just firing all cylinders. So I just got to make sure I'm hearing everything that you said, yada, yada, it throws my KPIs, my numbers, and our goals, our metrics, and, essentially what asset we're trying to, purchase. And I was like, absolutely, you nailed it. And he goes, perfect. Most people here don't even understand what that business is. We do. We've actually already been doing it for about 5-6 years. Do you want to just join us? So I was like, whoa, that's interesting offer. And he's like, we have proof of concept. We just need more hungry hunters like you, like guys who get it, who are building, who are in the space. So looked under the hood, found out, they are, awesome at what they do. They're great dudes. They've all built, scaled, sold e-commerce businesses and different types of businesses, brick and mortar, et cetera. So they get the game, they get where big exits are still waiting to happen versus not. And how to essentially reverse engineer that, right? If I want to step into the vehicle that will one day create the most amount of leverage for me, right? Whether that be freedom of time, freedom of finances, whatever, right? Whatever your end goal is. I don't know. It might be make $100 million. It might be make 10 grand a month and just have freedom to travel with my kids. Cool. Whatever it is, right? What is your vehicle to get you there? Well, look at who's doing that now and then reverse engineer it. So for being a big exit, meaning the 9-figure, maybe the 10-figure, who knows? We're looking at SaaS companies, which go code in Silicon Valley, right? You better be in a garage right now doing that. Otherwise, or you might be on the AI train. Cool. If that's your sauce, get in there. The other is recurring revenue brands. So that's what we're doing. And we're not seeing that anymore with your basic hero product brands without a recurring revenue model with it. There's just the numbers aren't there anymore for big investment, big equity purchases, et cetera, right? That the 2020, 2021 craze of everyone just getting bought up at 5x, 6x, 7x. I think that's done. I think that's completely done. I think you're going to be at a 1.5 to 2.5x if you're lucky, depending on your revenue or your EBITDA, right? But how do we double down, triple down? Well, that's where the strategy comes in, right? Let's say I'm stuck with a single hero product, model, and I don't have a recurring revenue. And maybe creating recurring revenue would be way too expensive, or man, I just don't see the light, or that's not my thing. Well, go find a recurring revenue brand. The example would be, I create pet food bowls, stands, and mats. Awesome. I'm a pet food accessory extraordinaire. What would probably go perfect with that product? Pet food. And pet food is recurring. So how do we combine our resources? How do we partner? How do I go find someone that, one's trustworthy, 2, wants to grow with me, and 3, sees the vision or would hear this vision and be like, hey, what does the big picture look like? By doing that, you're immediately cooperating with each other's customer base. That's an easy double sell, easy upsell. But then on top of that, you've taken each of your multiples of EBITDA and essentially 2, 3, 4x it, just like that, depending on obviously revenue models, but just by literally coming in the same umbrella. And sometimes there's literally sometimes no exchange of funds. It's just saying, hey, we're together now. Let's put it on paper, or some way, shape, or form, right? Do it in a way where you can do a clawback or protect yourselves, obviously. But just by combining assets, you've now grown the asset versus trying to do it all on your own. So there's a lot of ways versus just raising debt or selling off all your company. and entrepreneurial curse, right, is that we always want to grow faster than our business does. So we're always trying to figure out ways to get more capital injection. But sometimes it's maybe at a conference finding, someone who appears to be a competitor, but actually might be the perfect partner. And just doing so, just putting yourself under the same umbrella might actually be the move to get yourself to that big exit, get yourself to that next level. So talk about this all day, but yeah.
Man, Sean, there's so much to unpack from all of that. But I love the thesis that you have with that private equity fund to say, hey, there's got to be reoccurring revenue happening in a business. So that would maybe be where I would maybe start, because most of our brand owners, yes, they've already crossed 7 figures in revenue. They're successful. They probably have a few hero SKUs that are crushing it, but reoccurring revenue is not as big of a focus for a lot of Amazon oriented brands, right? If you're in the subscription space, sure, or sorry, the supplement space, you have a bunch of subscribe and saves. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. But for somebody that's in like the home goods category, right? Like they're typically not focused on memberships, reoccurring revenue, subscribe and save, et cetera. So what do you do with a brand like that? Like, let's take a look at, like a simple tumbler or something like that. How would you approach a brand that's crushing it in the tumbler space? They have unique designs or something like that, but there's no reoccurring revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite models of this is Fresh Clean Threads, FCT. It's t-shirts. I actually literally might be wearing one right now, or this might be Cuts. Actually, I think this one's Cuts, but shout out to Steve. Anyways, but the revenue model there, right, is t-shirts. And yeah, I'll probably need to buy more t-shirts eventually, but I'm not on a monthly or a quarterly subscription. And so what they did is they created a membership for literally like $7, $9, whatever, something where you just don't think twice about. And they said, if you're part of our membership, we'll give you 10% off of everything. And then 2, free shipping. And we'll put you on like a quarterly order or something like that, if you so choose. But so thinking outside the box like that, absolutely. So maybe, if you're selling tumblers or home goods, right? I don't know if I'll ever need another tumbler because those things are literally nuke proof. But what is something that you can attach to it with a membership to it? So, top of mind is sometimes it's information, sometimes it's digital assets. Like, hey, we'll send you the best deals happening around, coffee and nootropics and adaptogens, et cetera. Or, with a tumbler company, attach yourself to a drink making company and mix, sometimes stick pack company, some type of, powdered juice, whatever it be. Like, you got to put something in the cup. So might as well be partnered with whoever's putting the stuff, right? Who's making that stuff. So, a couple different models there, just, spitballing off the top of my head. But the membership is key. And then 2, if you are strictly Amazon, which I know a lot of us are in, we have to be, right? If you're not selling on Amazon, I don't know what you're doing. Please have a SKU on Amazon. But do your best to not have your majority of business be on Amazon. And that's also coming from the equity space. You don't own your customers, right? You don't own your subs, your subscriptions, right? And so how do we get ownership of those subscriptions or those subs, right? You'll hear me say subs a lot, just the vernacular. Right. One of the goals of like a PE fund might be to have 1 million subs, depending on how many companies they have. The reason being, just for, why is this so important? Is at the end of the day, it's dollars in, dollars out, right? It has to be. It's energy in, energy out. How are we going to guarantee these investments? How are we going to make sure that they are wise investments, right? If we're going to put $10 here, how do I make sure that $10 grows to 11 or 12 or 13 versus just losing it? And there's what's called the sunset provision of, well, let's say for whatever reason, the key man risk, aka the founder of that said company, decides to hang it up and go, surf in Costa Rica and never touch a computer again. Like, kudos to him. But we now have financial responsibility in this company. What are we going to do? No one's running it. No one's operating it. If you have a subscription base, there's a sunset clause where you're no longer getting new people, new customers, but you're servicing just the current ones. and it'll last for about, 6 months, a year, 2 years, sometimes 3. And typically, right, that figurative $10 investment will turn into like a $33 investment just with that sunset clause. So it's very, very, very attractive to equity, right? They're going to be like, absolutely, dude, I will throw some capital there because I know in the worst case scenario, we're still just going to ride this thing out and everyone's going to make their money. Everyone's going to be fine. Customers will be happy. Investors will be happy. The hunter will be happy, whatever. So that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario is obviously you sell a customer once, their average order value is 3 purchases. So that means technically the ad budget is a third the cost, right? However you want to move that third or 3 times.
Yep.
But that, of course, is lucrative to growth as well. And it doesn't have to be huge to begin with, right? It can be just like I said with the teacher companies, like, coming up with 1 or 2 SKUs where you want to attach a membership to it. Or like I think FC Fresh Clean Threads has like white, black, and blue on Amazon. But then if you go on their website, they're going to have their entire line. And I think Cuts is the same, right? They have a couple SKUs on Amazon, pulls you into their ecosystem, and now they get you on their membership or their club. But that's on their website. Now they have their data, right? You have your customer data. You have the subscriber versus just a subscribe and save on Amazon. So you have your customer data. So, right, if Amazon decides to flag your listing and say, hey, you no longer have your reviews or customers or subscribers because someone said you're a pesticide or you're selling tobacco style products, even though you're a t-shirt, good luck. And I'm saying that from personal experience because literally both of those has happened. You still own your subs, right? You still have your D2C marketing and you're building that. So, it's coming up creatively with ways to, one, can I attach it to a Tumblr? Like, can I attach some type of subscription base? Maybe it's a guaranteed warranty. Like, hey, we will replace you with a brand new tumbler if it even falls off a truck and gets run over by a tire. Like, user error included. If you literally blow this thing up, we'll replace it for you for $30 a year. That's all you got to pay us, right? Free 100% for your life. Something like that, right? And the reason being is, at first insight, we think, oh my God, how many tumblers am I going to be replacing? It's like, not that many.
Yeah.
Costco has 100% guarantee return. I have had friends, and I live in the South Bay of Los Angeles in Hermosa, Manhattan Beach. I've had friends just to test the system. They're not crooks or trying to fraud it or anything, but just to test the system. There was a broken surfboard, the wave storm board that's sold at Costco. It's literally broken in the trash at the beach. They're like, I'm just going to take it back, see if they accept it. They accepted it, and they got a new board out of it, and they're like, oh my God. And then just because the guy had integrity, he went and paid for it because he's like, I can't do that. But like literally, that's how much the return clause in Costco is, obviously, aside from jewelry and electronics. But if they're that profitable, and I forget what the metric is, it's like something like 1% of things purchased are returned. Like, it's so few.
Well, but on that note, like, what is Costco's main, like, where's their profit come from? Their membership, period.
Yeah,
like
revenue.
Like, they make so little margin on their other products that are in store. Like, it's not, they don't even care about that. They don't care necessarily. Like, they want a good product offering, but that's not where the money comes from in their business. It's all about the membership.
Yep. Exactly.
So, Sean, I just pulled up the FCT, Fresh Clean Threads. And so it looks like they're saying, hey, you get 20% off everything, free shipping, priority access, and it's $19 per year. I love this model. Give me, like, are there other brands, like, because I think one of the most important things we can do is just like spark ideas in people's minds. Like, what other memberships or other companies can we look at real quick just to get some ideas, juices flowing here?
Oh man, I mean, there's clothing up and down is starting to do that. So, free shipping. And then I've seen, I don't know if off the top of my head, but like, there's history of a guy was selling golf product and accessories, and I think maybe some clothing, but a lot of golf accessories. And he had a blog for $7 a month. And it was like all the new tips and tricks to perfect your swing and stuff like that, and ways to figure out when it's wet grass versus dry grass, or how's the green, or it's just been aerated. Like, just had constant info, and it was valuable enough where he would literally just create, like, and then this is before AI, so he would actually do the research. He was a golfer, but so would enjoy doing it. Create a 1-pager. Like, that's not hard to do, really, for a $7 a month subscription. And I think after 2.5 years, he had 200 or 300,000 subscriptions. Like, yeah, do the math there. So he was selling literally like golf ball cleaners and, golf rags, and he turned it into that. So it can be done. My point is it can be done. Other business models with that, I think Hermosi was just talking about, like, Rihanna did some huge work with, I can't remember the model around that, but it's literally just to get you into the subscription. It's like it was something like almost a free product at the beginning, $100 offered. I forget what it was, but point being is, like, if it's happening on that level, there's a reason why, right? Because that's where the big exits are. That's where the big value is. That's where the guarantee is if we don't have recurring revenue business, if we don't have recurring revenue model in our business, as soon as you turn the lever off, you die, right? It's done. Like, if you're not hustling for the next sale, then you're done. Or if you do have it, you can take a breather, or you can compound your interest, or you can compound your equity, right? Because it's constantly revolving. It just allows your efforts to go a lot further, right? Viral takes on a whole new meaning. Something went TikTok viral and I sold, I went up 400% in my sales. Yeah. What if you just went up 400% in your customer base? Now that's recurring revenue. It's like, oh, right, that's forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And yes, Alex Hormozi had a recent podcast where he was breaking down Rihanna's Savage Fenty brand here. So here is the members only experience that they have here. Okay. It costs $60 a month. And this is what you get. Enjoy up to 25% off full price styles, free shipping on anything over $60. You have 15% off discount on their beauty and skin products, free annual gift with your first purchase during your birthday month. You get a credit. So that's the interesting thing, is like, you're basically paying for a gift card every month, right? So you pay $60, you get a $60 credit to go spend, free underwear or pack or bra after your 5th billing, which then they know. So it looks like their lifetime value, right? Looks like they're churning around that 4th or 5th month, which is why they're saying, hey, if you stick around to the 5th month, we're going to give you some extra goodies. Automatic entry into the surprise giveaway sweepstakes with a monthly billing, early access to collabs and new drops, exclusive sales and offers, option to skip between the 1st and 5th month, option to cancel at any time, and 90-day fit guarantee, which goes back to your warranty type of thing, right? Because if you're just a guest, you only get a 30-day fit guarantee. So really, like, this is probably a really good one that anybody could go look at. Where do you have to do all of these things? Like, I think my feedback on this would be like, that's a lot for a customer to like take in and be like, whoa, what all am I getting into? I think like you make it as simple as like the FCT, the Fresh Cut Threads membership, where it's like, look, here are the 3 things you get, and it's relatively low cost. But I love that. I think that is so important. Just having reoccurring revenue in your business. And the principle is this, right? For a lot of us, if you're selling on Amazon, like every day you're starting from ground zero. Like every day it's like, well, how many new people can you have come in the door? Whereas if you can incorporate reoccurring revenue, it allows you to compound exponentially. Because if I can bring on 100 new subscribers this year or this month, and then next month, guess what? I'm starting at a base of 100 minus any churn, right? What if I add another 100 next month and then another 100 the following month? Now, a quarter later, like I'm around 300 subscribers, right? And so it allows you to compound. The longer you're in business, the more profitable you're going to be. The financial returns just start to get crazy, which is exactly why you're in that private equity space there. So Sean, I guess my question would be like, as you guys are looking to invest in different brands, like, are you looking at brands that are on Amazon or Amazon only brands? Or are you guys more geared towards, hey, we're actually looking for Shopify, D2C native brands? Because that's where obviously you could do a lot of these membership programs. Tell me more about like your selection criteria for brands you're working with.
So our ideal avatar would be majority of subscriptions, and I mean like 50% or more on D2C. So your Shopify or your whatever, your WooCommerce, whatever site you use. However, that's slightly unrealistic a lot of the times, just because Amazon is Amazon. I think we're at 54% of purchases are now happening on Amazon. 68% of first searches happen on Amazon. Like, and if you run an Amazon store and you throw up a TikTok shop, directly that, oh, I just did this ad and I had, 50 sales from it, but my Amazon upticked like 30%. What? It's like, yeah, that's from your TikTok ads. Like, so you got to have Amazon. So, I mean, that is a realization, obviously, but in the perfect world, it would be majority on your D2C, then Amazon. Please don't go retail. Like, there is no customer ownership in retail. That is one of the toughest things. For some reason, it's an old school model that, we got big enough. We're a big enough brand. Let's be a household brand and get into Target and Walmart. Okay, like it's a long, expensive road. You own your inventory. They don't, right? They don't buy it out front from you. So you got to come up with however millions to facilitate their stores. So that's a whole side note. Clawing back actually companies out of retail is one of the things we've actually looked at.
Really?
Yeah, because it's so cost intensive. That used to be the only way to get in front of trusted customers, because everything online was either cheap or untrusted, or but obviously we've surpassed that. People trust what they buy online now. So it can help, but don't let that be your primary business model until organically it makes sense for the metrics. Or if you have a retail connoisseur who wants to inject the capital and is going to do that for their job, right? They're going to be like, hey, we're going to take this amount of equity for this amount, and we are in charge of retail. And if we fail, we fail, but it doesn't take your business down. Like, go for it. But now let's go back to the majority of businesses that we look at are, 80, 90% Amazon sales. And that's normal. That's completely normal, right? Amazon is a juggernaut. And that comes with, running Facebook ads, Meta ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, anything ads. Your Amazon just goes up. That's the halo effect. And of course, we're all trying to figure out how to, measure those direct KPIs and performance metrics, et cetera. And Amazon doesn't share it with us. So we just kind of got to guess, right? We just say, I ran this ad and my halo went up. It's like, I think it contributed around these numbers. So we get it. But if we can establish, and right, majority of us already do this, but some way, shape, or form where we're clawing back customer data into our subscription pool, into our D2C, like create that. First, right, you got to have a no-brain offer, like the Rihanna offer, which, geez, man, if I was in that market at all, you're buying $60 to have then credit just go straight to it. Like that is a amazing offer. Like literally in your mind, your money is going completely to product. It's not going to a membership fee. So you're like, I don't get how they make money. Well, they make money when you don't buy something next month or the month after, right? So, or you're almost guaranteed, just like with a casino who gives you free drinks, you're spending way more there than the drink. And they know that, right? They're gonna give you this little $5, $10 item because you're about to spend 50. So obviously if you go in a membership for 60, I'll probably end up spending 200, let's be honest, right? So it's a no-brainer. Obviously it works. If it works at that level, it's going to work at ours. So we got to come up with a no-brainer subscription offer that why on earth would someone choose to go on our site, because it's a huge hassle, the 3.5 seconds it takes to get off your Amazon Prime app. And, I'm walking away from my comfortable little nest egg of free shipping, and it's, it's going to come in my daily Amazon packages. Why would I dare go to another platform? Like, what is going to incentivize me? It better be awesome. And it's taking harder and harder, or it's becoming harder and harder to get the Amazon customer off there. Man, I forget the loyalty conversion, but it's the stickiest brand in the world, right? Stickiest brand ever in existence is the Amazon Prime customer. So how do we get them off of that into your storefront, into your own, where you own the customer data, while also being Amazon TOS, right? Compliant. We can't just sell it for less because Amazon listing gets taken down. We can't put key cards in there with QR codes that say, come on over to us for this, incentivize, because we'll get taken down. You can put it on the same card, but just remember, it can't be this for that. So, leave us a review for this. Nope. You can say, leave us a review. Also, we're over here if you want to come. So just keywords, right? So we have our cards, we have our QR codes, we have our push, but why on earth would someone want to come over? And a lot of industries, so we're seeing this in clothing or supplements. So like in the food, I guess I won't say their brand name, but, pretty big food name company that we all know. They have maybe, I would say 10 SKUs on Amazon, but a total of about 100 SKUs. So what are your big sellers? What are your big movers? Your no-brainers, right? So, if I'm in let's say the protein powder space, I'm going to put my vanilla, my chocolate. Cool. That goes on Amazon as well as my website. But then what about the vanilla with the creatine and the glutamine and all the other stuff, right? That's only going to be on my website. So much like, and I think Cuts does this, right? They have black shirts, white shirts, and that might be it on Amazon. So they have their Amazon customer. But then why on earth would I ever go to cutsclothing.com? Why? Well, if you look at their website, they actually have an entire amazing clothing line, which kind of rivals Lululemon. So, oh my God. And then they're going to have incentivization there with stuff that's not even on Amazon. Amazon captured the customer, got me in their network. Now I'm interested in Cuts Clothing. Now I'm going to go to their website. I'm going to hopefully sign up for a membership they have there because I'm going to get free shipping. So I'm in my comfortable little prime nest egg again, but now I'm on Cuts Clothing. And I'll get my free shipping and probably 10, 15% off there. And then all these hot new deals that don't even exist elsewhere. So if I love the brand, then it'll create brand loyalty. And now, right, I'm a subscriber and it's a no-brainer offer. So step one is always, right, creating that no-brainer offer and doing it compliance and then getting people into that. So, long story short.
Yeah, I love that model. I think it's pure brilliance. I mean, is that not what Amazon Prime is at the end of the day as well? It's all just a membership model. So, yeah. and I like, that's where, if you look at a lot of these big businesses, right, what is Apple leaning towards, right? Reoccurring revenue, right? With their cloud services now. Yeah. So all the big brands are focusing on reoccurring revenue. So that would beg the question, like, if you're not doing that in your own brand, why not? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, Sean, as let's talk more about the specifics as it relates to how do you find these brands that you're working with that are rolling up together? Because what if somebody's like, yeah, I like this idea. How do I partner with somebody else that maybe already has a membership? Like, what would you say to an entrepreneur that's like, they're on this bandwagon, they like what we're talking about, and they're like, I think it's going to be easier for me to go partner with somebody rather than try to build this thing out myself?
Yeah. First thing would be create affiliate partnerships. So that's a no-brainer, right? You should have that regardless. It is so easy to do that now, especially with Amazon, right? You could sell anyone's product if you're an Amazon affiliate, but create affiliate partnerships immediately. So that will put some, friction in there for a recurring revenue, some way, shape, or form. So back to like the pet bowl example, right? Create an affiliate partnership with your favorite food companies. Boom. That's number one. And number two, hopefully you're driving enough traffic so that you get on the radar and you be like, hey, we'd like to do something a little bit more, right? Let's do some collabs. Let's do some cross promotions. Like, can you put my product in your advertisement and I will do the same thing? And that creates the synergy. And that's where you get on board with saying like, hey, I think we could see this lucrative, promotion going further. And then that's where you got to pull down the EBITDA numbers, right? It's like, hey, right now, this is where you're at. This is where I'm at. Together, this is where we are, right? It has to make sense for both parties, obviously. You can't just be like a floundering, losing money company at, 10,000 K a month or 10K a month and hopefully like partner with a $100 million brand. Like, it has to be synergy. So that would be, a basic formulaic step. But for finding other brands to then partner with, like, we know our competitors. If you don't, I hope you know your competitors, right? We're always trying to outdo them and they're trying to outdo us. And like I said at the beginning, is sometimes your biggest competitor might be your best partner. And sometimes it's because I'm in this niche and riches are in the niches. So I better be niche down some way, shape, or form. They're in another one. So I'm selling to big dogs. They're selling to small dogs. Well, how do we capture all dogs, right? We might have to partner. We might have to combine resources. We might have to. So for finding those types of brands, your competitors, reach out and obviously do so in a way that's protective. Like, don't just put your stuff on the table and let them see it, but see what they're interested in. Get to know the person first. Get to know their business model, right? Are you talking to some Chinese bot farm? Or are you talking to, a young family in Kansas? Like, we don't know. I don't know until we're actually like on a Zoom call, right? And, obviously really, really vet, do your due diligence, like have the legal check it out, have your own personal legal check it out. Anything in writing is ever signed. Always, always, always send it to someone they've never met, that is only with you, that understands your legal, your goals in mind and will protect you. Just literally hand it to that lawyer and be like, how do I get screwed over with this? Just point it out if I can. And then, so that's due diligence. And I'm speaking from personal experience there. I didn't do that with a deal and I got dragged across the coals. So please, 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 please do that. Literally, lo and behold, not to go too far in that story, but we signed a partnership with a convicted felon for fraud and financial crimes because we didn't do that. Had we done that one step and not just gotten swindled by the sociopath that they were, because they're good at what they do. They will convince you that they're the best things in sliced bread and trustworthy and the best friend, and it would never be them. He somehow convinced me not to get it vetted by my own attorney, right? Those should be red flags, obviously. Do background checks, obviously. So without going too far down that due diligence rabbit hole, please do that. We reach out, we find our competitors. Our competitors are often our most synergistic partners, or just tangential spaces. So like pet food bowls, pet food. If I'm already selling pet food, maybe pet food toppers, maybe pet food supplements, right? If I'm selling dog stuff, maybe cat stuff. If I'm selling cat stuff, dog stuff, right? You figure out, how does this grow? Where would it look like in 5 years, ideally? And then what are the missing pieces? Can I just pull them in? And then the fun part with that is you can even take that to the bank. So let's say, and I mean the literal bank. So you could present an idea like this, put it on paper, get numbers down and be like, let's say you go to, company A wants to go to company B and partner. And they're like, the only way we're doing this is with $100,000, capital injection. You could literally take that to the bank and show them and they'll be like, oh yeah, we honor this valuation. We'll absolutely give you that money. Right. So sometimes it just makes sense, right? The same way in like biz buy sell, like you might just have to buy the business for an SBA loan, but it will make sense financially. So, there's lots of ways to go about this. Like, a million ways to skin the cat. Like,
well, let's talk real quick about like what the financial incentives are for partnering, right? Because that, as you talk about, like, oh, you got to do your due diligence, you got to go through legal, etc. Like, that's a lot of work. So it's like, why not just do it myself, right? Versus, what at the end of the day, why am I doing this, right? And I think it's all about the multiple expansion.
Yes.
So why don't you maybe break that down for us, Sean?
Okay.
And the listeners, like, what do multiples look like in today's environment? And then what can multiples look like if you're crushing it in e-commerce?
Yep. Yeah. So what's the major incentive here, right? And what would the bank look for if they were going to, loan you $100,000 at a favorable rate, et cetera? What would an equity fund look for if they're going to invest or, bring you to a portfolio and grow you to the next level? So if I'm a hero product brand with no recurring revenue, let's say I have 5 million EBITDA, just for round numbers. Typically my multiple on that, which means how much can I sell for, is anywhere from 1 to 2.5x that. So 5 million, I can sell maybe for 5, maybe for 10 or 12, maybe if I'm really, really lucky. And I would have to really, really show like stickiness and customer, like, it may not be recurring revenue, but do I have reoccurring revenue where people come back, where they refer? How cheap is my customer, et cetera? Right? I got to be, if I'm getting that 2.5x, the days of 5, 6, 7, 8x of 2020 are gone, right? So if I'm getting that 2.5x, it better be a really easy sell to my customer. Like, holy holy cow, like I literally just throw it up on a billboard and I get 100 million customers, that kind of thing, right? And your margins have to be huge, right? So typically we're looking more in the 1 point something for the multiples. That's just what we're seeing across the board. If you're non-recurring, if you're recurring revenue, you're at a 5, just like that. And if you're above 10 million, you're at like an 8. And if you're above 15 to 20, you might be anywhere from a 10 to 12x. So just like that, let's say a 5 million non-recurring and a 5 million recurring, the recurring is literally double the value. Double. So instead of selling for 5 million, I can immediately sell for 10. Instead of selling for 10, I can sell for 20 or 25, right? So
what percentage of the sales need to be reoccurring then for you to get that?
And that's where you get granular. Obviously there's nuance. Absolutely. Great question, right? It depends on the growth of the subscriptions, the growth of the sales, I would be putting my foot in my mouth if I gave you a hard metric there. But it definitely depends. However, just the point being is it is that drastic, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you are a very successful recurring revenue, we might even value it 7 or 8x, just like that. Just because, like, holy cow, this is sticky, it's amazing, it's easy sell, and you're primarily recurring. Oh my gosh, like this is a brand loyal product. Absolutely, we would value it higher. So the reason being, right, is the equity game isn't playing in short-term dollars, right? You're playing in decades. You're playing in 5 to 10 year terms. So if I buy you at 7x or 8x, that means if I did nothing, it would take me 8 years to recoup my investment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. However, the equity game can play that. Obviously, though, we're doing it in a way, shape, and form where we're not just going to do nothing. We're going to bring it into a portfolio in some way, shape, or form, founder-led majority of the time. So we're bringing you with us. We're going to have you take maybe a side to making decisions. You'll be part of the table, though. Don't worry. And then, like, how are we going to take that 8x to maybe now a 3-year timeline, 2-year timeline, right? We're going to do things to expand the business. We're going to do things where we, like I said, when you're partnering, how are we going to cross promote? How are we going to expand the customer base, right? If you have 100,000 subs and this company has 100,000 subs in our portfolio and they're synergistic, you immediately just acquired each other's subs, like immediately. So now your customer base just doubled, and we'll create incentives and stuff like that for the current customer base. So like, hey, for an extra $1 a month, you're now a partner in this, whatever. So obviously there's incentive to always roll up if you can, with strategic partners, not the corporate takeover type, but and careful, right? There's, money's hungry and it will eat no matter what the meal is. So, just careful on that. But if you can find strategic partners like us who, actually care about the growth of the business and care about the founders, that's always huge. Yeah.
Sean, this has been super enlightening. I think we could go on for another hour diving into, what it looks like working with private equity, et cetera. But today, I think we've already got so much value here. I love to leave our audience with 3 actionable takeaways. But before we get to that point, is there anything that you haven't talked about that you think our audience of 7-figure sellers needs to know?
Well, if you're not already doing it, reconstruct what your end goal looks like. And that should be your daily reminder, right? We wake up daily and we're fighting the battle over again. We have to reset our mind. We have to reset our spirit. We have to reset our grounding, like connect with our creator, et cetera, every freaking day, right? I didn't get fit and then stop working out. I have to do it daily. Same thing with everything else we do. And keep that end goal in mind. So now we have the marathon, we got the end finish line. And then this is the number one thing that I have to tell every one of my clients. I have to tell myself, I have to tell my wife, I have to tell myself and myself over and over and over again. Count every freaking win. Like, did you get up and make the bed today? Check it off. Hell yeah. Because momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. And that's what creates motivation, not the other way around. So keep the end goal in mind. Keep that machine in mind. Do it daily. Like, count those small wins, right? Did you have the meeting? Did the meeting go well? Did it progress to another meeting, right? What doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, the end goal in mind is to sell for $100 million. Cool. It's going to take some time, buddy. So you're going to burn out if you're not counting the small wins. Did we increase our sales by 1%? Oh my God, we did. Hell yeah. High five. Cool. Next. right? So you create that momentum. So that would be my biggest takeaway is count your small wins. It's not cheesy. It's literally scientific. It's quantum. We could go all day on that.
Well, love that. Yeah. What great way to cap all that up. So Sean, as I dive into the 3 action items for today, let me know if you think I'm missing anything here, but I'm going to start with action item number 1, which is what you just touched on, which is work backwards. Make sure that you have a goal. And here's what I would recommend, because this is the foundation of everything. You hear, Sean talking about, hey, maybe consider rolling up with private equity and becoming a portfolio brand, or partnering, adding a membership, reoccurring revenue into your business. These are all good things, but do they fit within your plan and your strategy, right? And you talked about this earlier. It's like, hey, are you trying to exit for 100 million, or is this a lifestyle business that you're just happy for an extra 10K a month coming in, right? Because what you do in that business to get to that goal is going to make a huge difference, right? It's everything that you would need to do for $100 million brand is going to be vastly different from everything you need to do for an extra lifestyle $10,000 a month type of business. So I would say work backwards. That's number 1. Have that goal in mind. Action item number 2 is, regardless of whatever your goal is, I think we talked about the compounding effect of what reoccurring revenue does to your business. And so looking for the opportunity to even start your own membership model, or subscription model for your product. So we talked about, Rihanna's Savage brand. We talked about the FCT Fresh Cut Threads. These are products that normally would not be subscription type products, but brand owners have been creative to think of, how do we introduce reoccurring revenue into these brands for added valuation, but also you're able to start every month with a cushion of, hey, I've already got X number of subscribers, right? You're not starting over from 0 every single month. And that makes a huge difference. You'll have more cash in your bank account to reinvest into new product launches, everything. Like, life just becomes 10 times easier when you have reoccurring revenue that you can rely upon in e-commerce. And then my third and final action item is to partner with other brands. And I loved your idea of just like, hey, become an affiliate of another related product category. Number 1, you're able to see like, hey, should I even launch this similar type of product? Because if it's resonating really well, you're making some healthy affiliate revenue. You have 2 options. Either you go partner with that brand, or you come out with that same type of product yourself, right? And so I love that model of, like, guys, do the hard work, do what most people are unwilling to do. And most people are unwilling to pick up the phone and call their competitor or call somebody else, and actually invest the time to put together creative partnerships. So Sean, those are my 3 actionable takeaways. Anything else you think I missed here?
That's awesome. Yeah, no, firmly agree. I'm going to write
awesome. Okay. Well, we'll put you through the hot seat. My 3 final questions. Number 1, what's been the most influential book that you've read and why?
Most recently is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It's so many levels, but obviously the skills that we take to get to our first million or 3 million in revenue, somewhere in that range, are literally the opposite skills that it takes to then get to the 10. Literally, right? To get to the first million or 3 million, it's all us. It's on us. We're doing it solo. We're running our own ads. We're creating our own product. We're doing our own admin, doing our own payroll if we have it, etc. We are running our business as an operator. And then super awesome you had the author of E-Myth on, because it falls in line with that, right? Operator, manager, owner, of how do we then get to managing, meaning how do I delegate, automate to then part of ownership where it's running itself and I'm just overseeing. So Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He literally, E-Myth gives you a great perspective. I feel like Dan Martell nailed it on what to actually do. Like, he literally gives you resources on like, hire a VA here, then give them this transcript on how to operate your inbox. Do it. So very granular. Awesome book. Highly recommend, especially if you're an entrepreneur, AKA control freak, because you are if you're an entrepreneur. So just accept it. You have to delegate and automate. You got to let go, right? And one of the quotes that he has in there is 80% of correct is 100% awesome.
Yeah.
So letting go of the fact that it's going to get messed up a little bit, that's okay. It'll get better, but let it go. So, yeah.
Excellent.
They were tell.
Excellent book recommendation. One I have definitely read and reread as well.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. What is your favorite AI software or ChatGPT prompt that you've been using?
I've been looking at Levels is so avatar creation. We're already there, right? If you're worried about your data being stolen by whoever, dude, it's done. We're beyond the event horizon. You are replicable in the atmosphere for deepfakes every day. Like, don't worry about it. It's done. So we're going to start creating customer avatars and also personal avatars. So for content creation, right? So I think it's Levels is the voice, but essentially, right, you train it and then it is you. And then you match it with, and I'm trying to remember the video one, but there's a few out there. So I don't, there could be a couple others and it's always changing, but you literally create in the same way, shape or form that I'm on the screen right now talking. There could be an avatar of me doing it. And thus, guess what just happened? My content creation just went through the roof. AI doesn't sleep. AI doesn't care. It doesn't get emotional. It doesn't get tired. It'll create 1,000, content creations with different backgrounds for you all day long. You just got to tell it to. So that would definitely be one. It's the Levels match with whatever the video creator is, so that you can match it to your actual, photos and videos.
Awesome. Love it. Great recommendation. All right. 3rd and final question. Who is somebody that you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space that other people should be following, and why?
The obvious is Hormozi. If you're not, just do. It's so valuable information that it almost feels fake. Like, it's that valuable. You're like, he's just literally giving gold. And then for granular, for D2C, Amazon style stuff, buddy John Tilley with his own guru, like, absolutely. He just lays it down, has a bunch of good resources. But yeah, Hormozi, absolutely for if you're not like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, just put him and Layla in your ears, and they're gonna be giving you little gold nuggets every freaking day. And yeah, so Layla is more operations, and then Alex is more strategy.
Yeah, awesome, excellent recommendations as well. Well, Sean, if people want to learn more about you, they want to reach out to you, where can they do so?
My personal is at Sean Percy Travis, which a lot of people call me my full name, SPT. It's Instagram, Facebook, etc. Or Ecomm for Heroes is that's our brand new website. So coaching, consulting first responders to build out their e-commerce businesses. We do it in a very SOP fashion, but very militaristic almost. So that's where it's a kind of a different clientele. But either of those, or Sean at ecommforheroes.com. 1 M, by the way, on that one. I like that it's funny with the Ecomm, we actually had to go back and forth. Do we want 1 M or 2 M's? Which way is more? Is it? So Ecomm Breakthrough, 2 M's. Ecomm for Heroes, 1 M.
1 M. I know. Interchangeable. Yeah. Tough decisions.
It was.
Awesome. John, thanks so much for your time and dropping some wisdom on us all today.
Yeah. Grateful to be here. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecommbreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.